Reaction out from California Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff. He's demanding Mubarak get out of town right now. The congressman sits on a very important intelligence oversight panel. His read on all of this. What do you make of at least Gamal getting out of Dodge?
Well, I think it's a sign that the dominoes are really starting to fall all around President Mubarak. First, his announcement that he's not going to run again. Now the son saying he's stepping out of the way. It looks like the party leadership is falling. And I think that we're seeing the transition taking place. I think it is shrewd of the government and positive as well for them to step back and not unleash these goon squads like it had been. I think that's a positive development, but it's really going to test the staying power of the protesters. That is going to be the biggest challenge I think they face, is whether they can continue to mobilize in large numbers and demand change. But I think the president has adopted a strategy of trying to wait out the opposition and pull back from the violent confrontation.
I guess easier said than done, but what if part of what emerges in, democratically elected way, a much more anti-U.S. power, one maybe influenced heavily by the Muslim Brotherhood, if not dominated by it, or other interests that might be so pro-Islamist as to echo from Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper, one that doesn't even recognize traditional equal rights, period. So in other words, if you're in the frying pan, man, you're not going to like the fire.
Well, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of peril here, but I think we can't forget that there's a lot of promise to what Egypt might look like. And looking around at what model Egypt might follow, I think it's very possible that Egypt may move in a direction like Turkey, which obviously has its pros and cons. But similar to Turkey, the military is the most powerful institution. It's well respected by the people. The military has certain red lines about not allowing Turkey to become a true Islamist state. And you could see Egypt following a similar model in the future. Now, as we've seen recently in our problematic relations with Turkey, that's not always a smooth course. And I think in the near term and the midterm, a democratically elected, popularly elected Egyptian regime may not be as reliable a partner in the peace process, and that's of grave concern. But I think our goal is not to resist a democratic change in Egypt. We should embrace that. But rather we should make sure that that democratic change doesn't lead from one autocratic regime to another, whether it's a theocratic regime or any
I tell
other
you,
kind.
Congressman, that's something you can't control. Your Republican colleague, Ron Paul, was with me recently. He said, Neil, we can encourage all we want. Just stop giving them money. The $1.5 billion to Egypt. He even included Israel in that. Just stop giving money to this neck of the woods. It ain't worth it. What do you say?
Well, I don't agree with that, and I'll tell you why. The strongest relationship we have in Egypt, which right now is probably the most important, is with the Egyptian military. And the reason we have that relationship is because, frankly, we provide a lot of military assistance to Egypt. So we have a close relationship between our military and theirs. That's a relationship we want to continue. We want the Egyptian military to have a stake in the peace process, to want to ensure that the Egyptian government abides by the peace treaty with Israel. When we cut off our assistance, we lose that kind of relationship and the leverage that comes with it.
Yeah,
so
but if this is what we get for all that money and
perilous.
assistance, and it's a toilet there right now. That's an expensive toilet.
Well, the assistance isn't to perpetuate one person's rule. In fact, we've been trying to get Egypt to move in a more democratic direction.
We'll watch it closely,
but the assistance, we hope, will maintain our relationship and some stability.
More to this.